We're embarking on new territory, and that's very clear at all levels. And we've seen it nationally with, the Prime Minister presenting what we're going to be doing next on a Sunday or a Monday evening, and then we go from there. And it's very similar in rugby. So on a daily basis, the player would log any symptoms that they may have that could be related to COVID-19 via an app, and also declare that they haven't encountered anybody that they know that may have some symptoms that could be associated with COVID-19. And then as they then arrive, and this is staff and players, then we would then temperature test them. We actually have an infrared camera which has been provided to us by one of our partners, Vodafone, which has really speeded that process up and made that really nice and efficient. And that can be done before people enter. So we're pretty confident that when the group came in, that they were free of illness and we weren't going to be spreading anything. And we've done the sort of things that you've seen around the community, whether it be at the shops and the various supermarkets with markings on the floors and lots of signs encouraging people around, where they can hand sanitize and when they should, and encouraging people to keep those distances. Lots of PPE with gloves and face masks and aprons being seen not only in the medical department but in the gym, which is not a usual sight, but something we've become a little bit more familiar with. And then obviously outside, the training in that first stage was very much socially distanced. And apart from sort of the addition of basic ball skills whilst the guys were apart, with obviously precautions in place around the balls, it was mainly around trying to get the guys then ready from a fitness perspective to progress on to the next stages that we're now moving into. One of the main ones now is that we've introduced some actual testing. So the players and staff to be tested once a week at the moment for whether they have COVID. And then once they have the results back and we know that everybody's clear, then we can then embark on that stage 2 testing, which we're essentially on the brink of now. And with regards to the training itself, then there's now been a sort of a risk framework which has been put in so we can determine which drills are going to have a higher risk potentially of transmission of COVID-19 versus those that maybe be more social distance. So we're looking at one end of the spectrum would be like a scrum, and the other end of the spectrum is just guys in a line, passing at distance. And then what we can then do is plan when we integrate those drills at the times of the week where we're most certain that everybody is illness free. So look, we're embarking on new territory, and that's very clear at all levels. And we've seen it nationally with, the Prime Minister presenting what we're going to be doing next on a Sunday or a Monday evening, and then we go from there. And it's very similar in rugby. We've sort of taken a staged approach, and at the moment we're very much focused on stage 2. But I think we're going to basically see a continuation of a lot of the same measures. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there's an increased frequency in testing. So potentially towards the latter end of the week when we're approaching games and competition, maybe there could be another round of testing so we're more certain. And I suppose from a planning perspective with us as a club, we're now going to be thinking more of the space of the stadium as well as now the training ground. Everything really been orientated around the training ground, where now we're going to be looking at stadium and how can we look at our infection control measures around there. Different ways of practicing, challenging us to be able to diagnose problems maybe more remotely using video or whether it be phone, and then thinking about our rehabilitation and how we implement that rather than being stood at the side of the pitch, with a stopwatch coaching somebody through something. It's been taking us a little bit out of our comfort zone, but we're also really excited about how these skills are pushing us to change our practice and not making the players maybe be so reliant on that one-to-one interaction, and maybe promoting more, self-reliance and independence, which is what we want to see from our sort of, developing and mature athletes. Overall, I think some of us that maybe work in the professional game and maybe don't see quite as much of our family as we'd like, have maybe seen a little bit more, and that was balanced with obviously home educating, which was an interesting one. But But there are definitely been some new skills that we've had to develop, which I think will be, real positives moving forward, making us be a little bit more, efficient with the resources that we've got. And as I say, developing some really interesting and exciting skills to, stand us in better stead moving forward.